Hey guys, Alex here. Welcome back to my channel. In today's vlog, I will be breaking down the difference between the 5 types of real estate professionals, including what makes each profession different and what work is entailed for each profession. Is there an overlap between these different professions? So again, there are 5 types of real estate professionals. The first of which is number 1, real estate broker. The second is real estate salesperson, also called real estate agent. And then we have real estate appraiser, real estate assessor, and real estate consultant. All 5 professions are regulated by the Professional Regulation Commission of the Philippines, or PRC. So out of the 5, only one profession, namely the salesperson, doesn't need to take a PRC exam. Because if you want to become a licensed real estate agent or a salesperson, you just need to submit the necessary requirements at PRC and then wait for your license to be released. So no need to take any exam. Whereas if you want to become a broker, an appraiser, or a consultant, one requirement is that you need to take the BSRAM, or the Bachelor of Science in Real Estate Management, and then graduate as a BSRAM, and then take the exam for each profession. Because yes, mayroong one exam per profession. So it's a different exam for each profession. So yung BSRAM naman is a 4-year course, and the exam for each profession, as I mentioned, is separate. So meaning there's a different board exam for becoming a broker, a different exam for becoming an appraiser, and another exam for becoming a consultant. So once you graduate as a BSRAM, you can immediately take the brokers and appraisers exam, but you cannot yet take the consultants exam because there's a time requirement first that you need to fulfill. You need to have a 5 years experience as an appraiser or at least 10 years experience as a broker to be qualified to take the consultancy exam. So I am both a real estate broker and consultant. However, I am not a BSRAM graduate because at the time, during the time that I took the exam, BSRAM still did not exist. So wala pang ganyang course. So what was required for us was we had to comply with 160 units or 160 hours of CPE, continuing professional education, plus submit all the other necessary documents to PRC so we could take the broker's exam. So now, for me, mas maging nahirap na siya to become a broker, an appraiser, or consultant because you need to be a graduate of BSRAM. So because these professions are now regulated by PRC. Prior to the RESA, or the Real Estate Service Act, which is the act professionalizing this industry, prior to that, all these were regulated by the DTI. Okay, so let's start with the first profession, real estate broker, my favorite because I've been a broker for the past 11 years now. A real estate broker is a professional in charge of overseeing transactions between buyers and sellers. The responsibilities of a broker includes listing property, marketing it, and offering to potential clients, bringing potential buyers to the property. Once they like the property, another task of the broker is to facilitate the closing, which includes drafting of documents, negotiating sale prices, making sure that the property is okay, doing due diligence for the buyer. Of course, it's mainly the buyer's responsibility to do due diligence, but the broker will facilitate that and also teach the buyer how to do it. And basically assisting each party's needs as they arise during the negotiations. Brokers are also directly responsible for the agents under them, and so they need to manage their accredited agents as well and troubleshoot any problems that may arise. So this includes monitoring the transactions of their agents, verifying that their licenses are updated, training them, and providing the necessary tools each agent needs to succeed in the industry. Trainings and resources are usually provided by the broker in cooperation with the realty management that they belong to, as these things cannot be provided by one person alone. So it's super hard to grow a team on your own. You need a team to do this. A broker can practice on their own without needing to be part of a realty. So I know of some broker friends of mine, they do independent brokerage practice. However, I wouldn't recommend it if you really want to become a top seller, if you want to be at the top of the game in this industry. because all the top sellers that I know are not lone rangers. Because you need a team in order for you to succeed. The bigger the goal, the bigger and the better the team that you need to reach that goal. In this industry, a single broker can form his or her own realty. It can be under single proprietorship, partnership, or a corporation. So for our realty, which is TWR Group, or more commonly known as Truly Wealthy Realty, we are a corporation. I have 2 other partners who are also licensed brokers. Aside from being a broker, my other partner, Mitch, is also an appraiser, while Steph is also a licensed consultant like me. We actually took both exams together, both the brokerage and the consultancy exam, and we passed it together. So according to Section 32 of the Real Estate Service Act, corporate practice for real estate service, all partnerships or corporations need to regularly submit a list of its real estate service practitioners to PRC and SEC, and there needs to be 1 broker for every 20 agents. So this is for partnerships or corporations. However, it's not specified in RESA that if you are an independent broker practicing the profession, that you will also be limited to 20 agents lang. In the future, I do hope that they update this limit on the number of agents that can be accredited under the developer, because limiting the sales force will limit the real estate industry as a whole. And there's so much housing backlog. And how can that be, accomplished na ma-fix yung backlog if may limit sa number of salespersons? Like, we need a bigger sales force to reach more buyers so we can help the developers sell out their inventory. So it's all about cooperation. Now let's go to the requirements needed to become a real estate broker. So first, you need to be a graduate of the BSRAM course, Bachelor of Science in Real Estate Management. So I've spoken to different schools a lot, since some schools get me as a resource speaker, or they interview me as a broker who's been in the industry for a long time, or sometimes they interview me as a consultant. So I noticed that most students of some of the schools that I speak to are second coursers. So if you're a second courser, no problem. You can actually still become a broker, and mas shorter na yung time span. Like, you don't need to go to school for 4 years. It depends lang on the school how long you will need to go to school for to graduate as a BSRAM. So it will depend on the number of subjects in your previous course na ika-count ng school as part of the requirements for BSRAM. So it will be around 2 to 3 years. And then another requirement is birth certificate, because of course you need to be a Filipino citizen to practice brokerage in the Philippines. So your birth certificate will prove that. It's another requirement. And if you're married, marriage certificate, NBI clearance, and community tax certificate or cedula for that year. And then another requirement is 1x1 photo with white background and name tag. Don't forget the name tag, guys. And filled up application form with documentary stamp. So this can be downloaded online, or you can get them in person. You can get a hard copy at PRC. So you can actually buy the doc stamps outside lang sa PRC, because there are peddlers selling doc stamps there, or you can buy it from your accountant. I recommend that bumili ka sa accountant mo, because pag sa PRC ka na bumili, like sa labas, sa mga peddlers, it's gonna be times 3 the price sa doc stamps. Now, once all your requirements are submitted to PRC, you will need to wait for your exam schedule. And once you pass the exam, accredited or licensed broker ka na. And then let's go to the second profession, real estate salesperson. Of course, another one of my favorites. Madami sa team namin ng salespersons. So salespersons are individuals who are licensed to help people buy, sell, and rent real estate. So they're ultimately responsible for bringing buyers and sellers together and are paid a commission, which is usually a percentage of the property sale price. So the standard commission for agents is between 2.5 to 3%. Sometimes some realties can give a higher percentage. So this term is used interchangeably with real estate agent or real estate associate. Agents basically do very similar work with real estate brokers. This includes listing property, marketing it, offering it to potential buyers, bringing buyers to the property, facilitating the drafting of the contract. So it's the attorney who does the drafting. Yung broker or the agent will be the one to facilitate, make sure that it's done, make sure everything, all the documents are in order, negotiating of the sale, and making sure that everything that both parties, both the buyer and seller needs are met. The main difference, though, between an agent and a broker is that brokers can practice independently, while agents cannot do so because agents have to be accredited to a broker before they can transact, before they can practice as an agent. And they also do all transactions under the wing and in behalf of their broker. So as per the Real Estate Service Act, agents cannot by themselves be signatories to a written agreement unless their broker is a signatory. So if agents have something that they need to sign, they need their broker to sign it for them. So what are the requirements to apply as a salesperson? So first is you need 2 years of college or 72 units in your TOR. You also need to undergo 12 units of CPE, continuing professional education. So we have here in Cagayan de Oro, we have one like every month and it's online. And then birth certificate, of course, you also need to prove that you are a Filipino citizen. You can't practice if you're a foreigner. Marriage certificate if married, NBI clearance, community tax certificate or cedula for the year. So for the cedula, you can just easily get this at City Hall. And 1x1 photo with white background and name tag, and of course filled up application form with documentary stamps. With doc stamp, you can just download the form at PRC. So like again, you can buy the doc stamps from outside PRC or get it from your accountant. So also with regards to the application form, there's a portion there that your broker needs to sign. So you need to find a broker to be accredited with and have the broker sign the form, because again, every salesperson has to be accredited under a broker. So this is why there's an area in your form for the brokers to sign. So the challenge lang though that we are finding now as brokers is if we have agents who want to be dislodged from under our authority, like for example, they want to resign, maybe transfer to another city or another brokerage, or they've already become brokers themselves, it takes forever to dislodge that agent from their accreditation to me as their broker, or to like even other brokers. I'm hearing that as well, because the form that needs to be signed, the dislodgement form signed by both the broker and the agent, needs to be sent to Manila and the board has to approve it. And of course the board is busy, they're doing other things, so that's why it takes time. So it's really not the most efficient way to do dislodgement, especially since there are thousands of agents all over the Philippines. So I do hope that there can be a more efficient process to doing dislodgement. So now if you want to apply as a sales agent, we actually have an infographic on this. Send me an email if you want a copy so we can email it to you. And then the next profession is real estate appraiser. So a real estate appraiser assesses property values, often in advance of a change in ownership. Most appraisers specialize in either residential or commercial properties. In both cases, their work involves buildings and vacant or unimproved lands. So there are actually 3 ways to assess a property, but the most common is through comps or comparables. Appraisers conduct site visits, noting both the general and unique features of the property, and then they will compare it with other listings in the same area, with similar listings in the same area. And they will check the sold prices of those listings to come up with an assessed value. So the value of a property is determined by the market, and this can be seen by the sold prices and not necessarily the market prices or the selling prices. So you need to be able to check the sold prices, because this means that this is the amount that the buyers are willing to pay for it. So in our realty, as I mentioned, one of my partners is a licensed appraiser, although she doesn't really practice. So if you need an appraiser, maybe you can hire her, or I can just refer you to other appraisers. Okay, so the next profession is real estate assessor. So real estate assessors work for the government and also performs appraisal and assessment of real property. So basically, they they're the same thing. Like assessors and appraisers have the same job, but assessors work for the government. So one responsibility of assessors is to assess newly built buildings or houses for the purpose of tax payment. So the assessed value will then determine how much you as the property owner should pay annually to City Hall as your real property tax. And then lastly, we have real estate consultant. So a real estate consultant offers professional advice on the acquisition, enhancement, preservation, utilization of the property. So they will be offering advice on the highest and best use of a property. Although I know of some brokers who has been in the industry for years and years, and they have the ear of developers. So sometimes there can be an overlap between consultants and really experienced brokers who also have the capacity to offer advice to developers on project conceptualization and development, even if they're not necessarily licensed consultants. So as a consultant myself, I also get to talk to various developers from time to time as they ask for my advice and opinion on their current projects, what to do with their projects, what price point would sell, and other details. Another thing for those who plan on becoming consultants is that PRC requires you to have experience. Like I mentioned it a while back. They require you to have 5 years experience as an appraiser or 10 years experience as a broker before you can take the exam. So being a consultant is already the highest level of the real estate industry. It's like the doctorate equivalent of the real estate profession. And I was lucky that I was able to take the last consultants exam for non-BSRM graduates. Our batch was the biggest batch to take the exam. But still, there are only very few real estate consultants in the Philippines. I think there are only 600 plus consultants, less than 1,000. In my ID, I was like 500-ish plus na consultant. So very few consultants pa lang as of now in the Philippines. So because the Real Estate Service Act was passed, the board was also created, and it's called Professional Regulatory Board of Real Estate Service, or PRBRES. So the purpose of the board is to create guidelines for the development of the real estate industry, conduct licensure exams, issue, suspend, revoke, or reinstate certificates of registration, maintain the register of licensed real estate professionals, adopt a national code of ethics to be followed by all real estate professionals, investigate any violations of RESA, cooperate with CHED in coming up with a curriculum for the BSRM course, prescribe guidelines for the CPE, continuing professional education, and issue permits to those conducting CPE, and eradicate the practices of unlicensed individuals, which is still prevalent in our industry. There are still individuals who are not licensed and yet they are practicing. So the board is composed of a chairman and 4 members appointed by the President of the Philippines, with 3 recommendees submitted by PRC from a list of 5 nominees from IPO. So as you can see, the board members are handpicked very carefully, screened by PRC and also IPO. So you also need experience, at least 10 years experience, as a real estate professional to qualify. So 2 of the board members shall represent the appraisers and assessors, and every year end, the board shall submit a report to PRC giving a detailed account of its accomplishments for the year and recommendations for the following year. So again, the 5 real estate professionals are real estate salesperson, broker, appraiser, consultant, and assessor. So which would you like to become? Or which one are you right now? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you for spending your time with me today, and I will see you in my next video.